Welcome back, CSC230, to part 2 of our ex2 lists and links, where we're working on our CSS in our ex1 folder in our index page. So we're going to go back to that and continue our work. Now, just to review, our HTML has a background color of blue, our body has a background color of this kind of cream, and then section has padding around it, and except for the bullets and stuff sticking out, it looks okay. And we're going to start putting some space between these. Now, we don't need a space in front of lists and links because it already has the padding from section in there, but we may need it for this, for the H2s. Now, again, I'm not sure why the H2s look the same size as the H1s. In other browsers, they don't, but for some reason, they look the same here. So I don't know what the issue is, why that H2 is looking like an H1, but we'll fix that. So we're going to put some space between the H2s. If I target H2, it'll target every H2 on the page. So we might just want to do that now just to break up some of this. And if we need to break up paragraphs as well, we could do that. But let's go and target the H2s. And let's just make sure we have H2s. We have H1, and then we have H2, the things I like to do in the winter and the shows I watched recently. So we're going to target H2s. And what we're essentially going to do is put space before. And we could do padding above, or we could do margin above. Either one will work fine when we're working with paragraphs. And I want to point something out here. We could just put padding top. And I'll put 24 pixels. I'll see how that looks. We use that for the other padding. I'll put padding top. So that'll be just on the top. And let's see what that looks like. And that's fine. That might be a little too much, but that's okay for now. I guess that works out. That's about the same there. Now, again, I'm not sure why the H2 is looking the same size as the H1, but that's okay. We'll deal with that later. Now, also, these lists need to be indented. They're kind of too far, so we can actually put margin to the left of them. So that'll be outside of them. So we can actually put margin outside of those things. So let's try to do that. Let's target both of those. So if we target the OL, which is the ordered list, and comma, the UL, which is the unordered list, which is the bullet and the numbered list. I guess they could be in different orders. And we're going to put padding left, and we'll see how padding works. And I guess I'll just put 24 pixels again and see how that looks. And that moves things over a little bit. And if we want them lined up right with those, I think you can make it 18, because I think we would subtract 6 because we kind of wiped out the original. Remember when we took everything out and it was actually over there? I think it kind of goes over the extra 6 pixels. So I think if you did like 18, padding left 18, I think it would line them up exactly. And that looks pretty good. And we might want a little bit of space in front of the list. We might want a padding above, and that would be of the entire list. You could even spread out the list items, but for now, and actually, I think my text is a little small. I think one thing I'll do is I'll go back to body, and we'll do something called font-size, and it comes up there, and I'm just going to put 110%. I'll just make our font a little bigger. Just do a relative unit like 110%, and see if that looks a little better. It's a little bit bigger now, so it looks a little nicer. And we could put a little space above our lists. So since we're already targeting our lists here, we could even do padding top. Now, I'll show you a way we can do all the padding in one shot, but for now, I'll just do padding top. And I'll just put 6 pixels. We don't need that much space. And that looks pretty good. It just separates it out a little bit. And I think I'm going to make this H1 a little bit bigger. Let's go to the H1. Now, I don't have an H1, so let me put one in there, H1, because for some reason it's looking the same size as the H2, and I'm just going to put font size again, and I'll use 130% and see how that looks. That's just for the H1. And that made it smaller because that's an H1. Let's try 180. And I'll talk about why it did that, because there's some odd things about H1s because they have a certain percentage of themselves, so they're not the same as other type. But let's just see if 180 looks bigger. That looks a little bit better. And let's put it like in a blue color. And when you use color, you just use color. It's background color for behind, but if it's just a font color, it's not font color, it's just color. So we'll just put color in here, and I'll start with blue, and then I'll hover over blue, and I'll kind of make it not so electric blue. I'll try that, and remember to put the semicolon, and I'll just see what it looks like. That's not bad. It's looking okay so far as what we're doing. I think I'd have to look back at the other one. I almost don't remember what that looked like. And if we want to tackle the copyright down here, we could put a little space around here. Now, we just wouldn't want as much on the top and bottom. Actually, all we would need here is maybe just 24 pixels on the left and 24 pixels on the bottom of that. So let's see if we can do that. That would be the footer. And I'll put my opening, closing curlies. And I'm going to use padding. Now, one thing I'll show you here, and before I put anything, I'll put a comment right here, and I'll put TRBL. Now, I usually do it like on the video, but I'll put it right in here, and I'll put a comment, and make sure you close your comment. And what that means is when you put multiple values for something like padding or margin, they go top, right, bottom, left. Just remember treble. So top, right, bottom, left. So if you just want a couple, you could just put them right in a row. So if I want top of 0, I could just do that. Now there's no commas. We're not going to put commas in here when we have these multiple values. So we're going to put 0, and then the right, I'm going to put 0 because I don't want any on the side because it's just a short line. So unless I had color in it, I wouldn't need anything on the right. And on the bottom, I want 24 px. You do have to put the value in there. You don't have to put the unit with zeros, but when you have a number above 0, you should put the unit. And then on the left, I'll put 24 px. And then I'll finish this declaration off with a semicolon. So it should put 0 on the top, 0 on the right, 24 on the bottom, and 24 on the left. And let's see what that looks like. And that's about what we want. Maybe there's too much on the bottom. I don't even know if it needs to be that much on the bottom. 24 is probably maybe too much. Maybe it could be something like 16. And I did the wrong one. I did the left. So that one should be 24. And this one, which is the bottom, should be 16. And if you wanted to put a little more on the top, like 6 or something, you know, just to separate a little, you could do that. So top, right, bottom, left. And I do need picks here if I'm going to put a number above 0. So that's why I put that there. And let's refresh it. And that looks okay. And we could always put, you know, its own color around here, whatever. We could put it in a different font. We could make it smaller so it doesn't look like the same one. In fact, let's do that. Let's go in here. As long as we're working on footer, we could put font family, and I think I'm just going to put a sans serif font. And for the time being, I'm just going to put Verdana. And there's Verdana, Geneva, Tahoma. Let's put Tahoma, since it has my name in it. Tahoma, comma, Verdana, or Verdania. And then you can see the last one is just sans serif. So I'll just put sans serif. You don't have to put Geneva. That's like a Mac font. So I'm just going to put sans serif. And what this means is when you put this list in here, and keep in mind that if there's anything with 2 names or 3 names, like Times New Roman or something like that, you have to put quotes around them. But if it's just one name, you just have to put them like this. Now this one you're putting commas, whereas values we weren't putting commas, so that's a little confusing. But that means this is the first choice, second choice, third choice. So if we have Tahoma, it'll use that. If it doesn't, it'll use Verdana. If it doesn't, it'll use whatever the default sans serif font is. And I'll also make it a little smaller. I'll put font size. And I'll put it, I guess, back to 100%. We'll see if that looks okay, although a sans serif font may look bigger. So let's see what this looks like. And it actually looks bigger. So I'm going to put it at like maybe 85% and see what that looks like. And that looks okay. That looks fine down there. I could even put it in the same blue color if I wanted or whatever, but we're pretty good right now. I think this looks okay, and I think we're good for now. I think what I'm going to do is stop here, and we're going to do another video, obviously, to do some more here, but we'll stop here and let's just review our CSS. We didn't do a whole lot. We did a reset up here that wiped out the margin and padding. We put a background color blue for our HTML, which is everything. That's our HTML. And then we put an off-white color for our body background. And we first put padding around the body, but it went around the picture. So we didn't want body around the image. So what we did is we just put padding around the section part. And the section ended here, so then we had to put some extra padding around the footer. And we didn't have any padding around the header part. That just has the image in it. Everything's 800 pixels, and we used margin auto to make it center in the middle, like that. And if it gets smaller, we're not doing any responsive yet. We'll make it be responsive, but for now, if it goes smaller than 800, it just gets cut off, and we'll fix that eventually. So I think I'll stop here with this, and then we'll finish up with part 3. And remember, in our index page, we linked to our style sheet, link rel, and it has to be styles.css, and we're still working on our ex1, so we're just kind of building on that. So that's all we have so far, so that's okay. We aligned our lists in a little bit. We put a little space before our lists. We put some space before our h2s, and we're just designing now. So we're just doing visual design right now on our page, and we're just kind of using some guesswork. We didn't prototype anything or map anything out. We're just kind of trying things out. So we're going to come back and finish up with part 3 of ex2 lists and links CSS.